of the way so we don't have to do it in the interview.
Did you write a list of questions, J.
Because
Smith?
that makes sense. Okay, technically we were supposed to start at 5, so let's just start. Hello, everybody that's watching. This is an interview done by Midknight Podcast, Yessik, Ziiq, and JSmithOTI, and we're interviewing the developer and musicians from Yawgh. The Yawgh.
The Yawgh. So introducing Damian, and I already forget the other two names.
It's
Oh goodness.
I'm really
super
bad with...
professional podcast. Anyways, hey everybody, we have Damian Sommer. He's the game designer, programmer, and writer for the Yawgh. We also have the sound designer Ryan Roth, and of course Halina Heron, the musician. So the vocals and also the guitar, and super nice lady.
Way to steal the show. All right, that was good though. That was good. I might actually, when I'm editing this, I'm probably just gonna start from there.
Yeah, that was a really nice introduction.
Thank you.
So
I had help from the yawgh.com/press, which has all you guys' information. So
I didn't know that.
I do have one question I have to get out of the way before we really start, though. Do you guys know Scott Pilgrim?
Yeah.
It's Toronto, dude.
I mean, the actual person, Scott.
well, there is actually
Scott Pilgrim's not really.
there is a band that his band is based off of, though. My
Yeah,
sister.
there is actually a real sex bomb band.
There's a band called Plum Tree, and they had a song called Scott Pilgrim, but there was never a person called Scott Pilgrim. There was a person
No, he
called
exists.
Scott.
No, there isn't.
No, it was like Scott somebody else. He had a different last name, but there's another character in the book that uses that last name as well, but I forget the last name. But yeah, we don't personally know him, and I think he doesn't even live in Toronto. He lives out in the Maritimes, but I don't know that for sure.
how did you guys all meet? Are you all from Toronto?
Well, I'm like born and raised in Toronto, and then I met Ryan there, and then Ryan can explain everything else.
Yeah, I guess that's. I'm originally from New Brunswick, so I'm from the East Coast, in Canada, and I moved to Toronto. Actually, I moved to Vancouver first, and that's how I met Halina.
Yep.
And now Halina lives in Sweden.
Yep.
You live
Really?
You're in Sweden right now?
Yeah, I'm in Sweden.
Oh, okay. That actually explains some of the emphasis. I gotta get onto this press page because I can't remember names worth anything. So I do have a question for you. I do have a question for you, Helena.
Yes.
Do you actually, like, you did all the audio for this. Did you work in conjunction with the sound designer, like, at the same time? Because I noticed a lot of the sound effects and just, like, if I were to scroll through the options here, go place to place and press things, it almost perfectly matches up with the music all the time. So is that done on one end or the other, or both ends at the same time?
Or is he imagining it?
Or that?
I don't know. Well, actually, I sort of just recorded everything, and Ryan said, I want depressing guitars for this thing I'm working on, and I was like, okay, sure, use my old stuff if you want it. And then he did, so it's him that did that, I guess.
So what inspired you while making that?
When I made the music?
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time alone in my basement.
Average
So
musicians
just being
practice.
alone in your basement is what inspired that music.
Yeah, actually, I don't know, it worked.
So you're like, for the whole thing, like Damian just kind of gave you a rough idea of like what he kind of expected, or kind of like, did he give you, hey, I'm making this game, it's gonna be like pretty depressing, just go with that?
No one told me anything. It was more like I had just... I didn't know. Ryan just said, can I have depressing guitars? I said, sure, use my old stuff if you want something. I never thought that he would. And it was just like, poof, this thing.
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
so are you...
I recorded those songs 2 years ago.
So
Oh.
is your stuff now as depressing as back then?
Totally.
Oh.
I don't even think it's that depressing. I
It's
don't
not
know.
that. It's not that depressing. I just. It's.
The-
I don't know.
It kind of it evolves, I would say. And so week one, it's kind of like a happy mood, like before like the Yawgh happens, right? But like as the weeks go by, it kind of becomes like a little bit more somber, or you know, there's layers that are added to it to maybe like slow it down. But by the end of it, you know, it's you kind of go through like a whole evolution of the music, which I found really kind of like touching in a way. It just kind of like brings the whole mood kind of like in full circle.
Wow, cool.
So I do have one more question for the musician here. Are you currently in a band or touring, or do you have a website that I can direct people to? Because the music is pretty awesome, and I especially appreciate the vocals near the beginning and some parts near the end.
Oh, thank you. All the string things are by Ryan, but I have a SoundCloud. That's about all I have. I'm not in a band. It's just me.
And since you're am I right, Switzerland? You said in Switzerland?
Sweden.
Sweden. Well, I think this is the right place anyways.
Who cares about the rest?
Since you're in Sweden, do you happen to know Katzenjammer, who's one of my favorite bands? I think they're either Swedish or Swiss.
I've never heard of them.
Ah,
Sorry.
It's okay.
it's all right.
But I'm
So-
moving back to Canada in 2 weeks, so then it's.
Oh,
I'll be back.
wow, that's really soon.
And where are you moving to? Well, so everyone can stalk you in the chat. Where are you moving to in Canada?
My hometown, Chilliwack.
Ah, damn.
Sounds pretty chill.
Yeah, it is.
I was
Chilliwack.
hoping Calgary, because more people who aren't Hicks could move to the city. It would be great.
What?
I was hoping Calgary, because if more people who moved to the city who weren't complete Hicks, it would be great.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah. Oh well.
How
You guys
does
have an
how
awesome
does-
mayor, though, don't you?
What was that?
You have an awesome mayor, though, don't you?
We have a mayor that was elected mostly by young people.
That's
Does that make
cool.
him awesome, though? Let's not get into politics.
Yeah, never mind.
I'm not sure. Personally, I think that makes him a tiny bit inept, to be honest with you. He's never been in office before, as far as I can tell.
Okay.
Just some
pol-
random young
politics
guy.
over.
Yeah,
is
this is
it-
the politic cast.
Is it
Yay.
safe to say that Ryan did like a lot of the structure of the music? Halina did provide the backup or like the original music, but then did Ryan kind of what was his part to everything?
All of it.
All of it. Okay.
All the rest.
I just wanted to make sure.
So yeah, I pretty much just like cut everything up and made it so it worked for the game. Like she wrote the music though, so
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really great. What was it? Okay, so did you guys like hang out like at the I don't know a whole lot like while you make this, or was like most of the communication kind of like via the internet, like you sending files his way and him sending files your way, or like was there like face-to-face kind of communication there?
Is this for me and Ryan, or?
Yeah.
So I said to Ryan like a couple weeks before release, like, hey, can you do sound for my game? And he was like, sure. And then and then I went over to his place, and most of it was done in one day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
wait, was
Right,
it?
Ryan?
I don't.
Well, it seemed like it. You were like, here, let's use these sound effects, and here's some stuff, and then this is what the strings will sound like. And I was like, that sounds awesome. And then I had to go.
So did you go through like the whole Foley process? I've always been interested in being a Foley artist because I think that's like the best job ever. Like of going into a small room with a bunch of sensitive microphones and like breaking twigs or
Oh my God, Foley sucks.
Foley is amazing.
Celery.
Yeah. No, you're in a tiny room and it's really hot, and you're like, I'm doing this for like 3 hours, and it's terrible. Like you need to get drunk to do it. Seriously.
Well, did you enjoy getting really
Get,
drunk?
Like, some twigs or like some like pine cones, and you're rustling together to get sound effects.
Well, I guess it's kind of like the after, like the product is
Mhm.
nice, but like the actual process is not super fun.
I've
Yeah,
ac-
it kind of sounds like it sucks.
Actually, one of my favorite things that I've done recently is watched like little documentaries, mini documentaries on Foley artists, especially for Blizzard. They're kind of awesome.
I don't even know. I
I-
haven't seen.
They have like a huge room that's full of like swords and shit
Oh,
because it's Blizzard HQ, right? So I guess maybe I have a skewed view of Foley.
yeah. I think that's like it's okay. You're in a tiny 5x5 room, and there's like a little dirt box that you can kind of like do your feet on, like so you can walk footsteps and like it's just stuffy and well most of the time because like if there's a fan, then you get the fan sound, and you don't want the fan sound. So it's like, it's
Oh, so
terrible.
it's like being in my office then.
Yeah, probably your office is probably more. It's probably nicer, I'm sure.
Well, I have like 5 screens, 2 computers, 3 consoles,
Oh my.
and like a tiny, tiny room,
And an enormous couch. I don't know if he mentioned that.
and an enormous couch.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
that sounds okay. Sounds better than
No,
my
you don't
office.
understand how enormous his couch is.
Is it like a bed?
I would tell a story
It's like
about
a
my couch,
king-size
but we're in the middle of an interview. Let's keep going. Questions, everyone.
All right, so how did the game start? I know it had to do with the whole that thing last year. Go ahead and explain that.
Okay, so the game started. I was recruited to be part of Comics versus Games, which was an initiative started by Miguel Sternberg, who made They Bleed Pixels, and he knew a lot of comic artists and he knows a lot of game developers. So he kind of asked us all to submit some ideas for video games we'd want to make with comic artists. So we submitted 3 ideas each, and then the best ones got picked. Like the people who had the best ideas got picked to make the games. So I was one of them, and then using those ideas, he paired me up with Emily because we both had similar sort of themes in our work, which was like liking to mess around with our audience and not be clear and being kind of mysterious and that kind of thing. So Emily and I like instantly clicked, and that's when the game was made. And like, yeah,
So-
we only communicated through email. We never
I
spoke.
bet that was tough.
You never
That
Skyped
was-
or anything? You're just
No. The first time we Skyped was after the game was made and we were doing an interview. Kind of like the first time me and Halina are Skyping is pretty much right now.
So on the subject of the art, it kind of has this I'd almost call it like a happy gothic vibe. Is that what you guys were going for? It's kind of like it's like nothing I've ever seen before, because you can't equate it to your average gothic art of you know, the what's it called kind, the This Is Halloween, which is it's what most kids go for these days or most young adults go for in terms of art style if they're going gothic. So
Yeah.
where does the inspiration come from? Is it entirely your own, which is, you know, nothing's
Well,
entirely your own, but
I can't fully speak for the art because I didn't really do it. But Emily likes to do sort of Victorian-esque dark fantasy art. And I mean, like, again, I can't really say, but that's her art style, and it's not like the game doesn't look much different than anything else. Whoa.
what was
what's going on?
that?
Sounded like a car.
Damien's on
Yeah.
a bus right now.
My window's open. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. But yeah, her art style is very much just that. So if you look at her other comics, they look very similar. And I don't know how exactly she does it. I know she does something involving like actually hand drawing it and then scanning it onto a computer, so it makes it a little more earthy or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Is that her words?
No, those are my words.
Making it a
Okay.
tiny bit more real. I can see what you actually mean with that. Like,
yeah, for sure.
everything looks a tiny bit more solid than it would if it was all just digital art or done on Photoshop.
Mhm.
It's kind of like the difference
and-
between Star Wars old generations and Star Wars new.
I like that.
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good way to put it. And watch her like come out and say like, oh yeah, no, this is all digital, and me be entirely wrong. But I remember reading that somewhere, so I don't
What
know.
if she just denies knowing you completely?
So, I have a quick gameplay question that I've been wondering about for quite a while. Oh, I just said yes to the fortune teller, damn. But anyways,
That'll
do
do
the
something eventually. I swear.
do the characters actually have their own intrinsic differences, or are they all pretty much blank slates?
they're blank slates, and I debated around this for a while, whether or not I should give them different stats or do anything different with them. The reason I didn't is because I didn't want anybody to feel locked into a certain playstyle just because they were playing a certain character. I didn't want, like, let's say the big burly guy started with more strength than everybody else. Then people would naturally just want to take him in a route that increases his strength even more. And I didn't want to do that. I'd rather everybody be like perfectly equal, and then the tiny little skinny dude could be the strongest guy if that's what the player wanted.
What would be hilarious is like if you made like the stats different, but like say the big burly man, you just made a whole bunch of shit, like you put that into the game and like made that like his strength kind of like null and void. So like if he like did anything, you'd basically like, oh well, someone just broke your arm. Sorry, you lose by
Yeah, I mean that could work. But no, I you'd see that right at the beginning, and that would influence the
Now,
play of the game.
I know I'm just looking at this from a reviewer standpoint and being like, they should have done this, but I think it would have been really cool if every individual character had their own event that was like a 3-up for every stat that was incredibly hard to get.
Yeah.
Just a unique character building event.
Yeah, again, like the problem with that now, from a game developer perspective, is that's like I could have that be for like each character could get that, and I could have 4 different events of that, and then it could be like then it would again you wouldn't feel locked into having to play a character a certain way, because like if you knew, oh shit, this guy's got a secret way to get +3 strength and +3 physique, if you do this, then you would want to do that if you're playing that character, if you're metagaming. Which, like, the Yawgh is not a good game to be metagaming regardless, but yeah.
Did you ever consider increasing the stat boosts, like when you're actually doing something in the game, like when you get some sort of bonus, like if you went drinking, did you ever consider making the charm boost a lot more and having something along the lines of having those boosts, or not boosts, that the original stat bonuses that we were talking about for each character, but they were so minimal that it just wouldn't really matter?
That is not something that crossed my mind, and that would have actually made a little bit of sense. But it's kind of nice the numbers being small, because I'd have to make them quite big if I wanted to make them do anything. But like, even the thing is with players, even the most minimal amount of like difference between them will change how people want to play them.
That's true.
So like, I don't know. It's just it's something I really did think about a lot, though, and it is something, if you know how to find hidden files, you could do on your own if you really wanted to, and mod the game. Like, the game is very moddable. You could add your own things. I even considered including like an instruction manual to like on how to change this stuff around, but I didn't, and now I'm kind of regretting it.
Well, you can do that with a future update, can't you?
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, like, just right from launch, then that way people are like doing it right away.
Yeah.
Well, I could actually see how in the future this could be a game. Unfortunately, the art limits that, because you'd have to draw your own art too. But how you could it would be a good game to mod and just to continuously add story elements over time.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm doing right now. I've got a whole list of ideas for more story to add to the game that I want to get done by the end of the summer. And basically double the amount of content in the game.
That would be awesome.
Are you ever going to have some huge expansion that'll be like paid DLC, or
No,
is it usually always going to be free?
It'll always be free, any like content updates like that. If there's like a whole bunch of new art and like this whole other like side storyline or something, that could be a paid DLC, but I might as well just make that a whole new game to sell.
Yawgh 2.
Edward Vapid.
Yeah.
Vapid actually easily changed the Alchemist final to "You never learned how to make Viagra" instead of a love potion.
Did you seriously, Vapid?
That's
well,
awesome.
I guess by the time he'll hear this, it'll be too late. But that's really funny if he actually did that.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's it's cool he figured out how to do that too. You never know how to create Viagra. That's really good.
Yeah.
I have a question. It's more like on along like the characters. Do they actually have names? And if they do, or if excuse me, if they don't, do you refer to them as anything in particular?
Mostly me and Emily refer to them as Blue Lady, Yellow Guy. Um, yeah, but they did have names, and I actually wrote the story from like a third-person perspective for a while. And there's code in there to allow for you to use their names.
Oh.
But I've taken it out. I've taken out part of it, but the other part is still there, and you can still access it if you know all the secrets. But like, I don't even remember how to do it.
The secret
so-
maker forgets the secrets.
I
Yeah,
think
I mean, I
Vapid thinks
could
that the yellow guy's name is Ponzi McDouchebag.
Yeah, no, I was
Yeah,
about to
no,
actually I was about to actually say, if you've ever watched any of my videos, I keep changing the yellow guy's name from like Ponzi McDoucherton to like asshole McDoucheface to douche ass ton.
I noticed that. I noticed that.
He seems like a really nice guy.
And
Why
yeah,
did you hate
well,
on him?
okay, to be honest, he's like a big smiley type guy, but every person I've met, he looks like the type of dumb guy I would meet in a club who's like genuinely nice, but he just hangs out with the type of people who have like crazy popped collars and who just hit on girls constantly. And
Hey, that guy is a reflection of however you want to be, right? Because if you're playing him,
Clean slate.
he just has like the most dumb smile on his face, so I just can't help but rename him over and over again. Was that done on purpose, just to taunt me?
no, I don't think so. I mean, I didn't design what the characters look like. But to go back to their names, they actually did have names, and I might as well say them. So like, they were all named. So like the Blue Lady is her name's like Sapphire. And, like this is pretty generic stuff. The green guy's name is Moss. The red girl's name is Scarlet, and the yellow guy's name is Aaron, but like spelt weird because it's like gold, like
Spelled with an
AU.
X.
Well, you know, Aaron actually kind of makes sense because it's like orange. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
That was the
I
thinking.
couldn't think of. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the development and the art style, how did that kind of go about? I mean, you mentioned earlier that you and Emily were just emailing each other back and forth. So did she just email you like PNG files, and you're just like, oh, okay, well, I'll just make this part of the game now?
No, it wasn't that tedious. Well, first thing we did was like decide on all the locations and all the things you could do at the locations.
Okay.
And that was decided pretty early on.
Mhm.
And so she would just gradually, because this was like a side project for her and me as well, but she would just gradually like draw more and more things, and I'd get them in Dropbox, which is like a file sharing software.
Okay.
So we both like shared a folder, and so she just put things in that folder, and they would get downloaded onto my computer automatically.
Okay.
And so I would get them, and every time it was like opening a new present. I'd be like, "Oh yay, new art! What does it look like?" And then I had a system where I could just put it into the game pretty much immediately.
Okay.
And same goes for the sound with Ryan. He would give me sounds, and like I'd see them in my Dropbox, and he'd message me saying, "Damian, I gave you sounds." I'd be like, "They're already in the game."
Okay, I'd actually like to very quickly ask, because I'm getting a lot of comments from, well, the comments that are saying, what exactly is this game? How is it played? What is it in general? And this is mostly because I'm doing a very bad job of playing it because I'm trying to listen to you guys.
Yeah.
So,
So
give us just a general rundown of the game.
okay, so the game is a multiplayer choose-your-own-adventure game. It can also be described as a story cobbler togetherer, which is the most horrible way to describe it, but also my favorite way to describe it.
Can you actually put that on, like, if you ever get on Steam, just put that as a genre? That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I will refuse to be on unless Valve makes that an official genre.
Damian, their checkboxes, you can't.
Aw.
Ryan
Right,
already
get
has.
to ruin all the fun.
Hey,
Dreams
hey,
crushed.
if there's one thing I've ever learned, it's to ask and see before whatever. So be like, hey guys, if you make this a genre, I'll totally put my game on there.
Yeah, because like they're just begging me to put it on. It's not the
Yeah,
other way
they
around.
are.
Well,
They
speaking
should
of,
be begging
how-
you to put it on.
Yeah. How is the Greenlight going?
It's all right. I mean, I really don't expect anything from it. But the thing with Greenlight, I don't actually like. I mean, it would be super nice to be on Steam, but this is not a game that is likely to be greenlit just because it's not a mass appeal game. So that's not really why I went on to Greenlight. I went on to Greenlight for two reasons. One is that if you pay the fee, you get to go on with any other game that you have as well. So,
okay,
like it's a one-time fee. So I figured might as well pay it now because I'm definitely going to want to do this in the future. The second reason is it's actually really good exposure for games. There's a lot of people just browsing around on Greenlight, seeing what's up, and Steam just kind of like sort of forces these games upon people, like, hey, vote on this, and people will be like, okay, and then they'll check out the games. Yeah, whatever. Well, so I've gotten, I think the Greenlight's got like 10,000 people who would have not seen the game before.
That is awesome.
And yeah, so I've definitely gotten at least 10 sales from it, and so that pays off the fee right there.
Well, you know, it's kind of the social network marketing in general, because, you know, I'm myself a pretty small channel, but if I sell the game to 10 people, they might sell it to 2 more people a person. And you kind of have to think, kind of have to think of the cascade effect.
Yeah, so people, some of my friends were like, "Oh, you paid for Greenlight, what?" And I'm like, "No, it's worth it. Trust me." Like,
I have to entirely agree with you. It's entirely worth it.
And then you punched your friends in the face and chopped their arms off.
I have another quick funny question, actually. So this whole punching fists with fists thing, I'm assuming you just
stuff to do in the game.
I'm assuming you just really like the picture of like the Dragon Ball Z characters hitting fists and like a big explosion happening.
That's exactly it. Yeah, I grew up on Dragon Ball Z, and I just thought it would be funny, and it's like the most badass thing to do is to punch somebody else's fist as it's coming towards you, and have it shatter.
Well, you know what?
Sparks will start flying from it. Someone's hair is eventually just gonna turn yellow, and who the hell knows what's gonna happen after that?
For future reference, also a backhand to the top of a fist and shattering the bones just in the hand. That's also pretty cool.
Okay, that will be in.
What was that?
In the future.
Did that happen?
That will be added in the future. No, it doesn't happen in the game.
Oh
no.
See, I'm really unsure if I've accessed all the punching another person's fist content, because I got a lot of it before you updated the game a while back, Damian. But then there was one time when you told me you added more fist punching content, and so I don't know if I found any more.
What I meant by fist punching content is you just are able to punch more things now, not necessarily fists. But, yeah.
Well, I like a lot of fist punching content.
Let's just say start throwing potions out of the window a lot. That's like, there's a few things that can happen in the game that just don't completely change it, but can cause a lot of other things to happen, and I'm almost positive that there are some that haven't been seen yet because they're just so specific.
Kind of like how rare the dagger one is, right?
Yeah, the dagger one has a very not like super specific trigger, but if you don't know how to get it, you won't know how to get it. You might fluke upon it once or twice, but by the time you do, it'd probably be too late to even use the dagger. So
there are a lot more sort of rare ones like that.
There's some that just require like certain answers, and so you would be either low in certain stats or high in others. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not sure if anybody's gotten the demon ending, but that one's awesome. I mean,
what? The what?
Sorry.
You were kind of mumbling then.
Yeah, I realized I started mumbling because I was like, "Oh shit, secret."
Spoilers.
I got the vampire leader ending. That was pretty badass.
Oh, that's the best. That's my favorite. And also big spoilers there. That once happened at like a big show, and a lot of people were watching, and they were like, "Holy shit!" Because that's probably the ending that feels like the most like, wow, this is directly related to what just happened.
I don't think I've seen that.
That was amazing.
Yeah. It's pretty hard to get.
Despik and I we're just playing at random, and we were doing badly, just all out badly.
Yeah.
But
I got the demon ending on mine.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it was real good.
so how many?
That's awesome. Well, there's two of those, and there's two vampires.
So question from the
Actually,
chat.
there's four. But yeah.
How many different endings does the game have?
So I'm pretty sure, like, I'm 90% sure there's over 50. I mean, that's what I've been advertising, so I guess. If it's not, then it's like
So
40.
I just kind of hope so.
No, it's like 49 or 48 or something, and I might have miscounted. Because it's not exactly clear, and also what defines a slightly different ending is kind of tricky. But yeah, I'd say it's like, I think if I counted it, it'd be like 54 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a significant amount, I think. I wrote most of them in like the span of 2 days too, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Did you mentioned before like that did you storyboard this with Emily like first just to get like all the ideas like on paper?
Not really. I mean, like we storyboarded, like not really storyboarded, but we like figured out all the things that she would need to draw.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much it. I mean, like, she didn't know any of the events that were going to happen. Like, so
Okay.
playing, except for a few that I specified to her so that she could draw special art for it.
Right.
Because I knew it would be fun to have some special art for a few things.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I completely lost my train of thought. So I'm going to stop.
So,
Did you ever feel like you were I don't know, kind of constrained at all by that? Like if you had like a really good idea, you're just like, all right, I want this in the game now, but I'm gonna need Emily to draw like the particular artwork for it. Was that like totally cool? Did you just like send that her way?
No. If I sent her something, she'd be like, "Oh my God, Damien, I'm so busy." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm sorry." But I didn't really send her too many of those. Like, there's only like a few things, and I never felt constrained that I didn't have the art, because it's like a lot of the art just sort of sets the mood, and then I use a lot of text that describes exactly what's going on, and the picture is sometimes not related at all to what is happening. And I actually like I hope other people see the comedy in that. Like, I think it's kind of funny, especially when like people drinking and then like something absolutely horrible happens. Like, there's one thing in particular, and it's just like I like the juxtaposition of that imagery. So I didn't mind it too much, and I tried to use it to my advantage, and it amuses me. So
I just got the Tavern Monopoly ending. That's a new one.
Cool. You never got that?
Oh, I've gotten that one 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Is the game actually very dark right now? I can't actually see the stream because of how things are set up here.
It looks fine to me.
It's fine, yeah.
So what?
Okay, Matt.
Did you say so? I felt like I was echoing. Were you? Never mind. So what was your inspiration for the game?
So the biggest inspiration was a game called Dungeons of Fate, which you should all play, everyone. It's so fantastic. It's like, it's actually a lot like the Yawgh, except the story might not be quite as dynamic and interactive, but the game itself is fantastic. So it's like it's a 4-player multiplayer game, and you go around in a town. Or first you start off in a dungeon, you get out of the dungeon, you go into a town, and then while you're in that town, you could do different things, just like the Yawgh, and it'll increase your stats in different things. But then those stats are used while you're going out to different places, or you're going out to the dungeons. Sorry, somebody just came in and I got really distracted. But you could go out to the different dungeons and like fight monsters in there and get money, and then you could use the money in town to like buy better equipment and get training and different stats. And then while you're getting training and stats, random things will happen, kind of like in the Yawgh. And it's really awesome. And there's a bunch of different classes and stuff. And it's one of my favorite games.
Well, like I said, this storytelling method, like the Pick Your Own Adventure book, hasn't been done very often, and I think it would actually lend itself well to basically any genre you can conceive of.
Yeah, I'm actually working on. I mean, I just started it. Like, I tweeted a picture today of this type chart I was making of a Pokemon like that mixed with like Yawg-ish stuff. So like, you would get different like troops, but like the Pokemon instead of Pokemon, they're actually people. And you would get different troops depending on like what you've done and stuff. And it'd be a little like roguelike-y in that like people can die permanently and the playthroughs are not necessarily very long. Uh, and like it's very brutal and hard. And but yeah, like, and I also made a game called The Vermin Throne, which is sort of like the Yawg, except it's multiplayer versus. So yeah, I've been experimenting with the format a lot because I really like it.
So what you're saying about it, it sounds kind of like Fire Emblem also.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is actually like Fire Emblem, Radiata Stories, and the Yawg mixed all together.
That's actually really cool sounding.
Yeah, it's exciting me too. I mean, like, honestly, all I have is like what I want to copy from Pokemon, and then slightly new things I want to tweak, and then I made a type chart.
All right, so I just Googled what Radiata Stories was, and I remember, and then I remembered what the game was. I have that under my bed. That is such a good game.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I haven't actually played it. I watched.
What?
A game. Yeah. Okay.
You have got to play that.
Hold on. I watched a game developer, actually two game developers, play it at the same time, like while I was hanging out at their house. Like Droken, the guy who made Star Sea Pilgrim, he was playing it on his computer, and then Lou Blue, who was making a game called Fila Disco, he was also there, like, because they lived together, and he was also playing it on big screen TV, and I was like, oh my god, this game is amazing. So I was taking notes and that's as I was forming this Pokemon like idea in my head. So I was just freaking out about it, like, oh, this is gonna be so good.
So again, I have to ask, are you going to add couch co-op? Because couch co-op is pretty much my favorite thing on earth. Like, if I could, I'd make my entire channel devoted to it, but there just isn't enough of it.
Like, what do you mean by couch co-op?
Two people sitting beside each other on the same couch playing together.
Like for like this Pokemon game I want to make, or the Yawg, because
the
Yawg
Pokemon game.
does...
Well, the Yawg's clearly
okay.
couch co-op.
Okay. I'm not sure. I mean, I just started making this yesterday, so I cannot speak. Like, this is a dream project way out there. It's probably never going to be fully finished, but it's just something I am playing around with.
Well, you know, we probably have, I'm not sure how many people are here, actually. We probably have 30 people here who would support you.
Yeah, for sure. But, I mean, this is definitely a much bigger game than the Yawg, so I can't just, like, say, because the Yawg took a lot of effort and a lot of blood, sweat, and not really tears.
But blood?
But, yeah, you don't want to know the amount of animals I had to sacrifice.
Hopefully it was that damn blue fox.
Yeah, fuck that right, blue fox.
Yeah.
Is there actually any real conclusion to the blue fox? Like, obviously you're not going to tell me what the conclusion is, but is there one?
I'm not going to say, but I wrote a lot of the endings to be very bittersweet in that, like, you didn't die, but it's not necessarily the best life that you've had. And that's just kind of, I wanted to set a mood of like, it's kind of lame. Like, that's why I actually like dying a lot more in that game. Like, I like to do horribly in that game because it's just so much more interesting to me. Because like, if you do really well and then everything is all happy and like amazing, that's really boring. So I thought, okay, you either do horribly and die really miserably in some gruesome way, or lame way, or you just live out this like incredibly anticlimactic life, or it just sucks. Because I think that's a lot more interesting than, oh yay, we're all better now.
So I have a very short question that most people won't be interested in, but you know, it's one that's worth answering. Guided Ninja Cat asks, what engine do you use to develop your games?
I use an engine called Multimedia Fusion 2, which is a point-and-click engine, somewhat like GameMaker, except not at all like GameMaker, except for the fact that it's easy to use like GameMaker. That also has a lot of depth like GameMaker. But they're completely different in how they work and what they can do.
So it's specifically for like point and click, or I mean,
no,
like the
I mean
archetype?
it's like a point and click. Like you can use the mouse entirely to make a game, but you can
Gotcha.
do more than that.
Okay.
But no, I make platformers in it. I make shooters. I made a game that is in mode 7 recently, which is like the fake 3D that the Super Nintendo uses. So like I made a game like that really recently. So like it can do a whole bunch of stuff. Like it's not at all limited to just point and click or whatever, or text based. Like it's actually really hard to do text based in Multimedia Fusion. I had to do a lot of little weird hacky things to get it to work.
From start to end, how long did it take to you to develop the Yawgh?
Okay, so if we talk about like full development time,
Yeah.
we started in January of 2012. Now the thing is, I drew like somebody else asked me this recently, and I drew a graph of it. Like the actual amount of time we spent on the game was probably roughly around like 3 or 4 months. It was just spread out over that long period, and it wasn't even like I would work on it like for a couple hours a day or like even like once a week. It was like, oh, I feel like working on this now, I guess I'll do it. Or oh, this show is coming up, I guess I should like finish this part up. Or oh, a lot of people seem to want this game that have played it at these different shows. Maybe we should release it. And Emily's like, okay. And then I just kind of did everything, and she was like, okay.
Damian, you should say, well, this is your first. It's like your first release, right?
So like it's. Oh, what I was gonna say is, so it's basically like most art. It's just a matter of buckling down and doing it and having the ideas.
Yeah, that's it. I struggled through writer's block for a while with the Yawgh too. It's just like it's hard to come up with things, but then I ask my friends like, "Hey, what should I write about?" And they'll just immediately have these golden ideas, and people suggesting ideas, and it's like, "Oh man, a guy who can only speak in piano notes, that's hilarious!" Like,
oh, I encountered him.
Yeah. So, it's just stuff like that, or like I asked about the palace once, and this is probably my favorite suggestion I've ever gotten. It's like I need events that can happen in the palace, and somebody's like, have the jester tell a joke and you not understand it. And I was like, that is so wonderfully mundane in comparison to all the shit that happens in this game. So I gladly added it in.
Awesome. To bring Ryan and Halina back into this, is this your guys' first like introduction to like designing for video games, or like have you been in this kind of stage before?
Halina, you still there?
I'm still here.
Well, you go.
I've never done this before. No.
Well, you should actually I think you should get more into it. You'd be especially good for basically anything a tiny bit more somber than usual.
Yeah, you did a really awesome job with the music in here 2 years ago, but I really did think that the music was spot on for this.
Cool. Thanks.
So all you've really been doing was just putting stuff on your SoundCloud, though?
Yes.
Would you care to link to your SoundCloud in the Twitch chat, and possibly to me so I can post it on the video?
In the where?
The Twitch chat. This whole thing is being currently.
I don't think she's in it.
Yeah, I don't think she's linked to it. Yeah.
Oh, I'll link it.
Just post it to the Skype call then, and I'll put it everywhere.
There we go.
Okay.
So Ryan, same question.
This is definitely not my first project, but I don't want to really talk about my other I guess I worked on a game called Starseed Pilgrim with Alex Draken recently. And I mean, I've been working on games since I was living in Vancouver, where I met Halina. So yeah, I don't know, probably about 4 or 5 years. I've done lots of games, I guess. I don't know.
You also make games, Ryan.
Yeah, I make games too, I guess, in RM2K. I don't think that counts, but whatever.
Yeah, no, he makes these amazingly like surreal and weird RPG Maker games, and they're hilarious.
Awesome.
Once he made one about me, and it was very flattering, even though it was making fun of me.
Okay, yeah, we were at a jam. And I made this other game called Robots, and I don't know. I wanted Damien to come see it, and so we set up this tent at the jam, and don't ask me why there's a tent. It's just awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like a real tent?
Yeah, like a 14-man, like huge motherfucking tent, like. So anyway, I'm like, Damien, you gotta come play my game, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll come, and then he never did, and so I was like, screw that, I'm gonna make another game about Damien not coming to play my game.
It's a really good game.
No, I die in the end because I'm so sad that he didn't.
Aww.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
It's like I was too late when I got there, and he'd already died.
Wait, so he does get there?
I do eventually, right?
Doesn't that beat the purpose of the game?
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. I can't remember.
I got there too late though, and so the thing is, okay, what makes this story even better is Ryan like sends somebody. I can't remember quite who came up to get me, and so he like, and I'm like, okay, like they said Ryan has something very important to tell you. And I'm like, oh my god, what could it be? And so I got taken downstairs, like, because I was on the 5th floor and he was all the way on the 1st. And like there's this, like, everybody's sort of standing in a line, like guiding me into the tent. Like on either side there was like people standing on the side, and then there was like 2 like electric candles next to this computer.
What the hell? I don't
and
remember
like people
that.
standing right on the side of the computer, like they're just
Was there
watching
also a
me like
pentagram
walk
around it?
between them. Yeah, like it felt really weird. And I go to play it, and it's this game about how I was too late to play his other game. And it was probably one of the best things that have ever happened.
That sounds
to me.
pretty
It was
awesome.
really awesome.
So
Yeah.
God.
I do have a quick question for you, actually, because it's really nagging at me, and I keep forgetting it because I am actually playing the game. Is there any point to being the thief or the town drunk? Can you get a good ending from those?
Okay, so I was actually planning on writing interesting things to happen in both of those cases. It has not yet been written, but it will be eventually. The reason those exist at the moment is because Emily was just kind of like, it would be funny if we just had 2 completely useless options that just sabotage everything. I was like, yeah, that's good. And so that's what we did. Although I'm gonna expand on them a little bit. There's going to be situations in which the looter and the town drunk are both amazing. The town drunk in a comedic way, and the looter in a very interesting way.
Well,
We'll say that much.
what I was thinking is that it could definitely be used as a, like, as being uncooperative as it is. You know, you could have the looter and the town drunk actually have decent lives, and everyone else have crappy lives as a result. That'd be kind of awesome.
Well, like you know that like the looter ending is just horrible, and so is the town drunk ending that you can. So I tried to like make the payoff just be like you end up with like by screwing people over, you end up in one of the worst positions. So that's what I was trying to do.
One of my favorite I won't even call it a meme. Do you know how to go back and, like, I picked the wrong area. Is there a way to go back right now? Because I know if I press exit, I just exit the game.
You press B or Shift on a keyboard.
Shift. There we go. Got it.
Oh, okay. See, I was always wondering what it was on keyboard. I knew what it was on the controller, but
It's Shift. Yeah, I mean, like I have to choose something. There's no real like standard as to what the cancel button is in these things.
Mhm.
Except escape, but like escape's also used to like bring up option menus or quit the game and stuff. So
yeah, there have been many times when I would like just open up a game and I'm trying to skip through all that beginning stuff by pressing escape, but then I just end up exiting the game.
I would
Sorry.
probably personally go with backspace.
Yeah, that works. That makes a lot more sense actually. I can just make it both. I mean, in a future update.
Credit due to Yessik Ziiq. I'm just kidding.
Or just put me in the credits as a backspace designer.
So, Damien, you mentioned a lot on Twitter that you're kind of constantly having to change hats from developer, marketing, and like customer service. How do you
Yeah.
kind of manage all of that at the same time after you just like launch this?
Oh, well, I took off the developer hat pretty much immediately. I was like, it was weird. So, leading up to the game, like I was just working nonstop on it. Didn't see my girlfriend for like 2 weeks. I just bought her like a huge amount of flowers, and we went out for dinner and stuff recently, as like a big sorry. But um, so like as a developer, I just worked on the game straight for a while. And then coming up to launch, it was kind of like, oh, okay, I guess I'll start sending it to some people that I know, and maybe I can help get the word out, or they can help get the word out, because and then it just kind of spiraled out of control from there. I had no idea I'd get nearly as much attention as I'm getting right now, and like the attention I'm getting is not huge. It's not like Kotaku or any of that, like huge, like GameSpot doing a 20-page feature on the game or whatever. But it's like a lot more than I expected to just get the game on like indiegames.com. Like little like, hey guys, this game released. Like it's on a lot of sites that I really respect, and a lot of YouTubers that I knew. Like I knew Josh before.
Oh.
Like, and so they're all playing my game, and it's just weird. But it's awesome. But it also means I have to deal with all these emails of people being like, "Oh, I'm from such and such newspaper. Would you like, or can I please have a review copy?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'd like to give you a review copy." But there's just all of these people wanting review copies and stuff, and I'm more than happy to give them, but it's just a lot to like, oh, okay, I need to get a code, I need to write them a little personalized message and all of that. And then customer service was something I'd never really thought about before. And then I went upon like pretty much releasing the game, I was like, oh shit, I just realized it's not going to work on everybody's computer like smoothly. Even though every computer I've ever used it on has been more than happy to play the game, any any Windows operating system.
I actually did encounter a problem yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
What was it?
I forgot what the event was, but I'm pretty sure it was in the hospital, and then the game just like pretty much froze up completely, and I was actually recording a video for my channel.
Oh no.
And
Okay.
the game just froze up, but then my recording software stopped recording also. And, like I just let it sit there for like 5 minutes. I was just gonna cut the 5 minutes out, and so it eventually started back up, but like I said, I didn't find out that my recording software stopped until after I was done. So it was...
Wait, so the game actually just froze and then started again?
Well, it didn't like restart, but like it started working again. But it did just completely freeze.
That's weird. I've never heard of that before. Okay, new problem. It probably had nothing to do with the hospital. It might have just been a memory leak or something.
Yeah.
But let's not talk all of that stuff here.
I keep having to mute myself for the police here.
The police are there.
The police are always here. I live in the slums.
Oh.
Try to not be pickpocketed. That's my advice.
Try to be the pickpocket.
Yeah. Be the pickpocket.
Well, when I was in Peru, somebody tried to pickpocket me. It was kind of weird because my hands were in my front pockets, and they tried to pickpocket my wallet out of my front pockets that my hands were in. It just didn't work out very well for them.
Yeah.
Did you like say anything to them, or did they just run off?
I just grabbed their hand and was like, you know, I'm in here too. There's not room.
No sharing.
They probably didn't understand a word of it. They were just trying to be friendly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, trying to shake your hand.
Surprise is the hand job. Oops.
Yeah, that's what it really was.
Oh boy.
They're like, hey, gringo, I want to shake your hand. I don't know.
They were just very friendly.
Yeah.
Is it being racist if you're racist on behalf of another culture? I don't know.
It kind of is, because then you're assuming that they're racist, therefore making you racist.
I guess.
Right?
And because racism is racism, racists are racist.
Secondhand racism.
Except the thing is, everyone is racist in Peru, just not in a horrible way. They don't mean any harm by it.
but like that's perpetuating it, right? Like if you say everyone is, and then
Generalization.
yeah, we've been teaching Ryan all of these socially correct things. It's really fun.
Yeah.
I would tell some stories, but Ryan would get embarrassed.
Let's not do that. We'll wait
Yeah.
for her off air, and then you can embarrass Ryan all you want.
Yeah, I'm down with that. It's really funny.
So again,
yeah.
about the music, just because I want to get you involved in this interview somehow. How long have you been singing, playing the guitar? Has it been since like you were a little girl, or did you get out of high school and were like, to hell with anything else, I just want to sing?
In my grade 6 class, we were supposed to play the recorder, and my teacher was like, I hate the recorder. Let's learn guitar. And
Wow, that sounds like an awesome music teacher.
But
he was awesome, and so I started playing, and then I asked my mom, can I get a bass? Because I want to play bass, and she got me an electric guitar, and I was so disappointed.
So do you play
There's
bass
too
now?
many strings here, Mom.
Yeah, I was like, what is this? So I
I
learned guitar, and that was more fun. So-
Okay, just a second. I'm going to turn myself down a bit here because I disagree. Recorder is awesome, and I actually have one in my hands right now.
Oh, no.
Oh
Just have
boy.
a recorder sitting.
Oh my god.
That's actually the best recorder I've ever heard.
Okay,
I'm
you win.
really confused as to why he
Yeah,
just
that's
had a recorder
amazing.
sitting around.
Yeah,
That was
that was good. That was good.
Come on.
Yeah.
It was
You
right
beat the
beside my
shit
chair.
out of everyone in her grade 6 class with that.
Apparently, I'm the only one to ever learn recorder in grade 4 because
No,
fuck
I
that.
did when I was in third grade.
When you were in
Yeah,
third.
nobody stuck with it though.
No, it's like, it was mostly like to all of our teachers being like, oh my god, why did we do this? It's a bad choice.
Because it's an awesome instrument if you learn how to play it, just that no one could teach it worth shit.
Yeah, but little kids and learning recorders, isn't that kind of like chaos, sort of?
Yeah,
Yes, I
it's
got a
just
story
really a lot of
for
shrieking.
Because they just want to shriek all the time. I hate that.
So in my music class with my recorder teacher, everybody was like screaming, "It's not over till the fat lady sings," and then she like told everybody to shut up. And there was this one kid sitting right next to me that also said it, and then I seriously whispered it right after him. And so she like turned around. I forgot to mention that she wasn't facing us. And then she saw me talking to the kid, so she thought it was me, and I got my card pulled.
Your card pulled? I don't know
those
that.
got
You got your
dramatic.
card?
What does
pulled?
that
Yeah.
mean?
That's like you have these cards. There's like a green card, an orange card, and a red card, and all this stuff. And if you get your green card pulled, then you can't get a prize at the end of the week.
What kind of school did you go to?
Yeah,
Private
whoa.
Soccer thing? I think that's soccer. Some sort of soccer.
That's like sports.
Yeah.
No, in sports you get given cards.
Well, see, that
Oh.
that wasn't even the end of the story. Like 3 weeks later, the kid finally owns up to the lady, and she was just like, "It's okay," and I still never got my prize.
Oh.
Oh,
You know,
this has really traumatized you. You still remember it pretty vividly.
Yeah.
I remember it very clearly.
Never forget.
never
I'll never
forgive,
forget.
never
when my
forget.
green card was pulled.
Are you the goddamn Fremen now? I don't
Yes.
know. One person got that joke. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think the recorder is a highly underrated instrument, and it's probably because most people were forced to try to learn it when they were in grade 3 or 6.
I'm glad I was not. I have one, but I never played it.
I
have
just always wanted to learn drums, and then I started with recorder, and then I eventually learned drums.
I have 4 separate recorders. I have a piccolo recorder, a regular recorder, an alto recorder, and I think another regular recorder.
You
I'm
are
not sure why.
hardcore.
I used Audacity for my recorder. That's as far as I go.
I think I hated it because I just thought it wanted to be the flute.
It's the original flute. You know, in French, the flute, the sideways flute is called the flûte verticale, and just the recorder is called the flute. In flute.
Yeah, but see, then the flute was made, so then the recorder has no need to exist. It's like, what's one of those robot movies where like a robot is like really cool, but then a new robot gets made, but then there are these reasons that the old robot should be around.
Isn't that like iRobot or something?
I don't know.
AI, I
Like
think
in the
maybe.
movie iRobot.
Probably like 30 movies like that at least.
Well,
So
yeah.
this is a really interesting developer
Wall-E.
interview.
Yeah, this is a great interview.
Well, we kind of got on the topic of instruments. So other than guitar and singing, do you play any other instruments?
I kind of collect a lot of weird instruments.
Do you have a
Understandable.
vibroslap?
What?
Do you have a vibroslap?
I don't know what that is.
It's like, okay, it's the thing when you hit it, it goes.
No, I don't have one.
It's so cool.
What's your
I
little
have one.
thumb one?
Wait, the Mabira. I guess it's an African thumb piano.
Oh, I have that one. That is
I
amazing.
love
Yeah,
it.
those are awesome.
It's so fun.
It
Somebody
makes
wants
such
to
an
know if
odd
you have a
sound.
didgeridoo.
I have a
Didgeridoos are
didgeridoo.
overrated.
I have one and I love it.
Well-
You hate the didgeridoo, I hate the recorder.
Well,
There
you know
go.
what? The only reason I don't like the didgeridoo is because if you ever go to like a Friday night jam or a jam session, there's always one person who brings a didgeridoo and who insists on playing along with every song. No, this is completely on topic, J. Smith.
Didgeridoos. More like didgeridon'ts.
Oh!
Burn.
One of my favorite characters in a video game is the dude, is the robot who plays a didgeridoo in Machinarium. I
That
just
is
think
such
he's
a good game.
Oh. Very good.
yeah.
Okay,
You
well,
gotta get that cat out of there first. Or his didgeridoo.
does anyone have any serious questions for the remainder of the actual recorded interview?
Yeah, viewer questions are now open.
Weren't viewer questions always open?
Yeah, but whatever. Alright, so I'm gonna just come up with random questions. So Damian, you comb your hair as opposed to brushing it. Why is that?
Because I don't know the difference between the two, so I might be brushing it. And I
Lena,
don't
you're a
know.
girl. What's the difference?
Wait,
I
I have
I
hair
don't
down
know.
to my nipples. Let me answer this. Pretty much.
It's like
Oh, go ahead.
I don't know. I don't know. They're different. One is bigger, one is smaller.
No,
and
one has
wider.
very weak bristles, and since there aren't a lot of bristles, they tend to break off in your hair if it's tangled.
Well, see, what do I know?
Exactly.
Oh.
See, don't they have different size bristles for both though?
No, but
Yes.
either way, it's going to be weaker if you have less bristles. And the bristles on brushes are more rubbery, so they have more bend to them.
Hmm.
Unless you actually
Sounds
have
like
a
I should be
proper brush,
brushing.
which is made of what type of hair, Jessica? A proper brush is made of a certain type of hair. What type of hair?
A proper what?
A proper
This is the
brush,
best
hairbrush.
interview.
Oh, boar bristle.
Boar bristle. It's more made of boar bristle, so the hair of a boar. And if you
Okay,
have
So
a
you
proper
brush your
hairbrush
hair
as
with
such.
other hair?
Yeah. Well, other
What if you
bristles.
just like rubbed your head on a board? Would that be like the same thing?
You'd have to
Like,
spike
you
up
nuz-
the
you have to,
boar's
like,
hair
you
first.
You nuzzle up like right next to him.
Well, the thing is, the boar bristle actually picks up oils from your hair and spreads them quite nicely.
Isn't that what people also wash their cars with? Boar bristle brushes?
Turtle wax.
I think so, actually.
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't
there
know
was
why I know
actually a
that.
question.
Okay, next question.
What was the inspiration for the different looks of the characters in the game?
I cannot say that for sure because I didn't draw them or design them at all. But I would assume that they were created mostly so that they have very different silhouettes. And because, like, if you look at them, even at a glance, there are very different shapes. Like the red lady is like very circular and has a lot of round features, while the blue lady has a lot of like triangular, and she's got that like pokey outy habit thing on her head. And then the green guy is just really big, and the yellow guy is really small. So like all together, like it's just they look very different. So that they've each got their own like sort of personality. I can't speak as to what like Emily was thinking as to like the specific choices for each, but I'm sure she has them. But she's not here, unfortunately.
So another question I have that you will actually be able to answer is I think you've mentioned several times Emily also runs like a webcomic, or probably at least has a DeviantArt account. Would you like to tell us where that is or what the webcomic is and where it can be located?
So she makes a lot of short form web comics, so it's not like a long running one, but she has a lot of little ones that are individual things. And you can find them at Carol. That's Carol with 2 R's and 2 L's .com, and they are fantastic. I think she's most well known for
My permission got denied.
Sorry?
I got a 403. Never mind.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll type it out and then.
Yeah, so
yeah, there we go.
Nia Clodra is continuously asking if you've added the Drunken Legend engine yet.
Okay, no, I haven't, and I totally half wrote it and then didn't have time to include it, so it'll be updated to include that. And that's a spoiler, by the way. That was kind of the. Remember when I was saying like, oh, the drunken guy is gonna actually get to do something?
Well,
that's,
to be honest, to be honest, it still doesn't spoil anything. That they know what it's called, so.
Yeah, I guess so.
We'll just pretend nobody saw it or heard it.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, but so Emily has a comic called His Face All Red, and that's sort of how she got well known, and she won an award for it and everything. And it's only a couple pages. It's not anything big, but it's this really fantastic little comic that's really unsettling and creepy, and it's perfect. I really love it. And then she also has a comic called Prince and the Sea, and that one is really awesome because it all takes place in like one scene essentially. Like it's all one panel with different, like the characters are just in different positions the entire time, but it tells this really interesting little story. And again, it's only like maybe 12 pages, but all of one panel each, so it's not big at all. But it's nifty, and it actually is what helped inspire the Yawgh in a way, because she had so it all takes place in one panel, and a lot of the art in the Yawgh is like the same, or the characters in the same situation or in the same location, but doing different things, or like at least in different positions. So when I was deciding like what we should be doing, I was like, hey, so you could do like a bunch of different characters in the same panel like you did in Prince and the Sea. And she's like, oh yeah, okay, that works. So like just little things like that are all helped contribute to the game.
So the last question that I have written down here that hasn't gone over yet, but we haven't gone over yet, is I know it would be best if Emily was here, but it's her background. Does she have a university education? Is her art as a hobby? Is it what she's doing for a living now, or all that jazz?
So I'm not entirely sure how she makes her living. I know she does a lot of work though, so she must be doing something. Like you can see just how little we actually talk, which is kind of hilarious how we managed to develop an entire game together. But she went to Seneca College for animation. So like if you're in the States, college and university are essentially the same thing, but in Canada, college and university are very different beasts, in that college would more likely be referred to as community college in the States, just to help out with the listeners in. And so, but like Seneca's got an amazing animation program. I know a lot of people who graduated from there, and they're all fantastic artists. And so Emily's just one of them. And yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, I'm sure she was amazing. Actually, I've seen some of her drawings from when she was a kid, and they're also like really incredible. But like, yeah, she's college educated artist. Yep.
So I have another question for you in terms of story and inspiration. You told me that a lot of it was inspired by a single panel comic of Emily's. Was anything inspired by any literature of any sort? Like, we have one person in the chat saying that there's a lot of medieval themes and inspiration from like Grimm-esque fairy tales. And
yeah, that's a...
Oh,
sorry. Yeah, keep going.
And so did you take any literary inspiration from anything?
Yeah, actually relating it to Grimm-esque fairy tales is very good eye on that person. So I play like a pen and paper RPG a lot, like where you sit around the table, like Dungeons and Dragons, except it's called Changeling the Lost. and it's this really fucked up RPG in which so I'm going to describe some things and you'll see exactly where the inspiration came from. So basically the basis around this game is you are a like a normal human, and then you get taken through the hedge. So you guys already know what's going on here. And horrible things happen to you while you're in the hedge, or actually you go past it. Like the hedge is like an in-between realm between that and Arcadia, and so like these horrible things happen, and you kind of get imbued with magic and all of this other horrible stuff, while all these horrible things are happening to you because of the realm. Anyway, so but you play as characters who have escaped back into the real world. So I took a lot of imagery from that, and if you've played the game, you know exactly the one thing I pretty much ripped directly off of it. And so, like, yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, a lot of it's just from stuff that I just conjure out of my imagination. There's a lot of little things that happen with rats, and that's from well, I kind of have a little obsession with intelligent rats, and so my friend gave me a book. Actually, the friend who runs the Changeling game that I'm in, he gave me a book called "The Amazing Maurice and His Educated Rodents," which is a Discworld novel.
I
by Terry
love
Pratchett.
Discworld.
Yeah, and so that one's about a bunch of really intelligent rats that do things. So that's where that comes from. I mean, I'm sure I could think of others, but not
So-
off the top of my head.
Now that you've mentioned all of that, I'm a big fan of Terry Pratchett. I've read / listened to every Discworld novel. But now that you've said a bunch of like Through the Hedge, Through the Fairy Hole type of reference, have you ever read any Neil Gaiman?
No, I have 2 books of his that are on my like bookshelf. Actually, one's on my bed. Like, read this fucking book already.
Because
American Gods and
Very good book.
Nevermore. Both of them have just been staring at me forever.
Neverwhere is
correct
actually
it,
my favorite
Neverwhere.
of the two, but
Neverwhere? That's what. Sorry. Yeah.
But American Gods is the more famous of the two, but I do find Neverwhere to be better. The reason I bring Neil Gaiman up is he's quite the same about a regular person being dragged into a world that's like not... He didn't choose to be put in here, but then eventually adjusting to life and getting used to the powers that he's achieved, which kind of reminds me of this game, so...
Yeah. Actually, in the Changeling rulebook, it's like, if you want inspiration for how this game should like feel, read Neverwhere.
I think he and Terry Pratchett are actually good friends.
They wrote a book
Good
together.
Omens.
They wrote a book together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad omens or good omens? Good omens.
What did I say?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, I've read some of Neil Gaiman's stuff before, and I love it. And so I'm just waiting to dig into these books. And I even carried I carried Neverwhere around in my backpack for like a few months. Like, okay, Damien, read this book. I mean, it's right in your backpack. You're traveling all the time. But I was always doing other things, and it's stupid.
Again,
It's kind of like how I treated Chuck Palahniuk's Survivor.
Again, for everyone who wants to read things but has a hard time actually getting the time to read, seriously, guys, audiobooks.
Yeah, I've considered that, but I don't know. I just can't get into audiobooks.
Not to mention,
I like
Neil
to listen
Gaiman
to
reads
music.
all his own audiobooks.
Oh,
And
really?
having something read to you by the author gives it like a whole other feel, because you know exactly how everyone's reacting and how they're supposed to be reacting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you listen to audiobooks like while doing other stuff?
Generally I listen to them while going to bed.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't know. It's just a lot of people are like, oh, listen to audiobooks, or, as a sound guy, it's like you can't listen to stuff while you're working.
No, absolutely not.
I read the
Yeah.
audiobook, so I'm reading the book. No, I really don't do that.
Double up on the audio.
We had to do that in school once. It was bizarre.
Oh,
Yeah.
I feel like I'd just like freak out. Like, there's too many voices in my head going on right now.
I just wouldn't even pay attention to like anything around me. Actually, I'm not even gonna lie. That's sort of impossible. Like while I'm reading, if there's like any sound whatsoever, I just get like frustrated and quit reading.
Yeah, anyways, I think this should probably call it for the actual interview segment of the podcast.
Yeah, I think so too.
Probably been well over an hour.
All right.
Yeah.
So thank you everybody for watching. We had Damian.
Hello.
We had
Goodbye.
Ryan.
Hello.
We had Halina.
I think we should be saying bye.
Probably
Yeah,
bye.
I realized
I'm
that.
glad Halina caught on to that. Good job.
Damien, damn it.
Sorry, I set up that precedent.
Will we
I'm
just get an
gonna
apology from you?
Everything again.
No, but seriously, thank you, Ryan, Damon, and Halina. That was an awesome time that we had. Appreciate your
Yeah.
time, and that was awesome. Really fun game. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm also
Thank you.
thanking you. I'm just distracted.
I'm not going to thank you guys. Too many thanks already.